from the Republic of Burundi, Kenya, and Uganda, the United Republic of Tanzania have campaigned on these protocols. There is a construction of new one-stop border posts, Somlo-Kiriam between Uganda and Kenya, almost 80% completed. Mpondo has been completed or was commissioned by the President. Katuna, Mirama Hills, Elegu, Mutukula, Busia, and Malaba are already operational. We have also identified additional border crossings for conservation. These are Chanika, Ruakaka, Oraba, and Murongo and Kagati border crossings. However, I have received petitions from the people of Busia that because of the congestion at the present Busia border, they're requesting for 2 additional border crossings, one via the Namaingum Sita side, another one in the place called Mandwa in the Busia district. I have already written to the Secretary General of the EAC to start discussions through the sector committee responsible to see that our people are able to get more crossings. That the second crossing, which is on the Namaingo side, would enable our people to be able to travel, to ease movement between the border of Tanzania and Uganda, Tanzania and Kenya and Uganda. We also have the Kasensero, Mutukula, and Legu, which are also being completed. We have, on the regional infrastructure, we have the bypass from Kapchora, Suam, Kitale, the road bypass that will facilitate a quick movement between Uganda and Kenya and will help our people. We have also the Kikagati Morongo hydropower project, which has been completed, produced 14 megawatts of power, which will be shared equally between Uganda and Tanzania. On the 25th on Thursday this week, Excellency President Museveni and President Samia will be commissioning that hydropower plant at Kikagati. We have also made progress on the rescue centers on Lake Victoria. The Maritime Project Rescue Center, the main one at Mwanza and Entebbe, is taking off. And there are others which will be coming along the way, which are part of the same project. We also, last week, the Minister of Works was in Tanzania to meet the Tanzanian counterpart on the issue of the standard gauge railway. So we expect that on the Kenya side, we shall get a connection between Naivasha and Malaba, but also on the Tanzanian side. East African Mobile Laboratory, my ministry coordinated participation and negotiations in a 3-year financing project implementation agreement with the government of the Federal Republic of Germany through the German Development Bank to support establishment of the EAC regional network of public health reference laboratories for communicable diseases. We have installed 9 mobile laboratories in all the partner states. Out of the 9 modular design mobile laboratories, Uganda has received 2. The 7 are in the other partner states. Regional harmonized procedures in the agricultural sector. The standard operation procedures have been adopted and will enhance Uganda's competitiveness. The regional agricultural market, harmonized standard procedures for inspection of maize, beans and rice to facilitate regional trade. Rice and beans, standard operation procedures on plant health, animal health and food safety. These are aimed at operationalizing the East African Community Protocol on the sanitary and phytosanitary measures. In the education sector, the Inter-University Council has developed quality-based regional accreditation framework for academic programs. The qualification register, which is one of the instruments to operationalize the ESC qualifications framework for higher education. 63 scholarships were awarded. 10 are awarded to Ugandans, 57 others were awarded the first and second cohort. 10 are from Uganda, 24 others were awarded under the German-funded scholarship program. The Africa Continental Free Trade Market. We have many of the partner states in the EAC, apart from the Republic of South Sudan, have forced the instruments of ratification of the Africa Free Continental Trade Area under schedule of tariffs concessions for FTCA. Unfortunately, the Republic of South Sudan is still lagging behind and has not yet acceded to the customs union within the EAC, so that remains a challenge. However, the others have complied. The EAC finalized provisional schedule of service commitments on trade and services for the Africa Continental Free Trade Area for the 5 priority areas, namely business services, communication services, financial services, tourism, trade-related services, and transport services. Use of national IDs. Our citizens continue to use national IDs in Uganda, Rwanda, and Kenya. Last week I was in the United Republic of Tanzania, and we agreed that by the end of June, this issue of the Ugandans not using ID cards in Tanzania will have been resolved. We are convening a meeting here in Uganda of the immigration chiefs. They are going to meet in my office before the end of this month so that we put an end to this issue. The Republic of South Sudan has complied with our agreement to waive visas for the people of Uganda. So other than security issues on that side, the river issue has been resolved. The monetary union is the third pillar of the EAC integration agenda. The process is not to establish the monetary union, and Uganda has bid to host the East African Monetary Institute, which will turn into the East African Central Bank. We are a bit slow on the common currency, which has been a demand of the people in the region wherever I've gone to the borders. But some of the partner states have not yet met the medium-term convergence programs as had been agreed, and this caused a delay. So we may not be able to meet the 2024 deadline, which we had set for ourselves. Fiscal monetary harmonization. Progress has been made in terms of harmonizing fiscal, monetary, and exchange policies, banking rules and regulations, as well as trading practices and regulations in stock exchange and financial markets. The cross-border payment system has remained is operational. So all these are going to assist our people. On the political federation, first that Uganda, together with the other neighbors, have been very active in the peace process of the DRC. We are part of the Nairobi dialogue led by President Uhuru Kenyatta, and we're also part of the regional force deployed in the DRC to support the people for DRC to get some peace and stability. On the confederation, we had, of course, the original plan was to have a political federation, but because of some unease among the partner states, an option was made to start with the confederation. So consultations have been going on in the partner states, and unfortunately not as fast as we would want. So far, the consultations have taken place in Uganda, in Burundi, and I think they are concluding in Kenya. We have not yet got consultations in the United Republic of Tanzania. DRC has just come on board, and the Republic of South Sudan has also not yet carried out their consultations. However, on expansion, we have admitted the DRC Congo. There's also a request by the Federal Republic of Somalia join the community. There has been a verification mission sent. We are going to consider the report. On justice and good governance, we held the second annual East African Court of Justice Judicial Conference here in Kampala, 26 November, 26-28 November, to Asiat Mestil Hotel. It proceeded very, very well. The conference brought together chief justices and judges from the national and regional courts of judicature, legal practitioners, etc. We have elected our YALA members. The 9 have been elected, so they have started their term. We also have the East African Youth Ambassadors platform and participation of the young people. What I can report is that there's renewed interest in the East African community. There are a lot of organs and institutions wanting to come on board to be part of the integration agenda, and we are very excited about it. We also have the East African Community Forum of National Human Rights Institutions and the Forum of Chief Justices, which has been put in place. They hold annual meetings. I've already reported about the border meetings. It is my intention to eventually travel to all the borders to understand the different issues at each border point. I think for now that's where we shall conclude. If there are questions, we shall be happy to answer them. Thank you very much.
Please, let's put up our hands together and give a big applause to the First Deputy Prime Minister, Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga. Thank you so much, and your team, for the elaborate presentation. We are now going to open a discussion for Q&A. I mean the session for Q&A. However, we first make a few observations as the manifesto trackers. First of all, on behalf of the unit, we want to commend the efforts that have been made in this direction of the regional integration, as have been listed here. And I want everybody here to join me, and we give a big applause once again to the Right Honorable Kadaga for the steering this ministry to the achievements so far registered. However, Right Honorable, there are a few issues which I want to make observation over here. One of them is that even when we have these protocols and the different agreements that have been agreed on, we still see some impulsive, what I would call impulsive behavior from some member states, and taking drastic actions as if we are not coordinated, you know, especially when it comes to trade matters. And also we still continue to get some reports where some of our citizens here, when it comes also on issues of labor movement, we seem not to have to be in agreement. There is still some restrictions on people, especially on the citizens going into the other countries, member states, and are not supposed to enjoy the benefits of the agreements and the protocols. So I don't know how far we shall have when we shall have all these cleared out, and then we can enjoy ourselves as East Africans. The other issue is the popularization of the community, the regional integration agenda for the citizens to appreciate. I think when we are interfacing with local government leaders and the rest of the leaders within our and the citizenry at large, people don't seem to appreciate it. It is still a hanging subject in the minds of the what I would call the elite. I think our local people have not bought in, and it's important that since this is something that takes care of all of us as a national interest, I think we need to up our popularization in that area so that everybody can be on board and participate and support the efforts that are being made. The other issue is the popularization of the language, which I think was adopted. We are happy. I think in the country there are some steps that have been taken. Every Monday before Cabinet, they have introduced a session, some Kiswahili, which is a good step, because I think it is us at this level to work on our mindsets towards this. But I think across the country, the feeling of the use of Kiswahili still has the other past negative mindset, which I think we need also to work hard to make sure that our people appreciate this as a language, as a medium of communication, and to which I think if we are all able to speak comfortably and smoothly, there will be no need even for us to identify this is a Kenyan, this is a Ghana, because we can be able to communicate and understand each other on the issues that affect us. The other one is what you touched on, the simplified trade regimes, where our citizens are supposed to enjoy some of these at the borders and the border areas. I think we still have a challenge there. The responsible agencies, maybe here you need to engage the Trade Ministry and the revenue authorities of the region to see how best this is explained so that the citizens from either member state can enjoy these efforts you have put in place for the integration to work. Last but not least, Honorable Minister, we have only seen the positive side of the implementation. We would like to share with you the challenges that you have faced in the course of implementation and probably how you are trying to, the proposed mitigation as we get along, maybe before the term ends. So those are the observations from the unit. Otherwise, now I wish to invite the members of the public and the media who are here. Right Honorable Prime Minister, like I had informed you, this is a media interactive session and we would like to take advantage of it. And they are here to pick every fact and disseminate it to our citizens so that the citizens are on board or are abreast with the status of the performance of our contract. So I will once again invite you to respond, but you are also at liberty to invite your technical team and also complement or supplement your responses where you find it fit. So, Right Honorable First Deputy Prime Minister, allow me to invite you again and then you guide us on how the response will be conducted. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. I think on the issue of the trade, there is something that all the partner states have not yet done. I don't know the reasons why, but by now we ought to have had a trade remedies committee, even amended the law to facilitate it. But the remedies have not responded in all the countries, but we had issued a deadline. We had given a deadline to all of us so that at the next council meeting, all of us are expected to report on when we shall submit the names for the Trade Remedies Committee. In our case, I think it's the Minister of Trade which should be doing it, but we shall follow them up. On movement of labor, what I can say is that there's still a lot of protectionism. When I was meeting the students at Makerere University, we were informed that in a country which I don't want to name, unless you're a citizen of that country, you cannot take particular courses like medicine. They can give you something else, but they won't allow you to study particular courses. So there's still a lot of protectionism. And my little experience in the short time I've been in this ministry is that apparently there is goodwill at the top, but it doesn't trickle down to the bureaucracy. One day I was traveling from Arusha to Nairobi. When I got to Namanga, I had my passport of the East Africa, of course. Then they asked me who I am. I said, this one now on the Kenya side. I told them who I am. I'm the minister for the EAC. Just where are you going? I said, I'm going to Nairobi. Why are you going to Nairobi? I thought it should be clear that me, the minister of East Africa, should be free to go anywhere. But they wanted to know I was going to Nairobi. And yet the EAC passport was really clear to show them that I'm a citizen of East Africa and I should be free to move. But they were still asking me, where are you going? And how long are you going to be there? So we need to do more to sensitize our structures within the bureaucracy to understand the agenda. On Swahili, I think we need to work together because even when I first went to Parliament to speak about Swahili, the reaction from the public was, oh, they want to kill our languages. You know what is going to happen to us? You want to stop us from speaking our languages, and so on. So we need to do a lot of work to make people understand that we need this language for integration. Where I have been at the borders, there's a lot of outcry about the failure to communicate. I went to Mutukula, they said they cannot discuss with their friends with the trading with the Tanzanians. I went to Mpondwe, they said the French is killing us and Lingala here. We need a common language. It's only when I went to Malava that the traders addressed me in Swahili. I think because for them, they've been at it for some time. But it's something we need very much, and all the borders have been complaining about the failure to communicate. So it's really a national duty for us to move quickly on the issue of Swahili so that our people can be able to communicate, at least to do just trade. That's why I said that I would like to, in my plan, I want to train the Uganda Revenue Authority, I want to train the immigration officers, all these which I call for me the frontline workers, because they're always in touch with the populations all the time. The simplified trade regime, yes. Actually, when I went to Mpondwe, I asked the revenue people, how many times have you had sensitization seminars with the traders? They had not. So they said, oh, madam, we are going to start. So the people who are supposed to implement either are not aware, they are not interested, and the people who need the information had no one to give them the information. So it's important that we have training on those ones. So I think the overall challenges, apart from the financial, because we have had a lot of budget cuts. We had big plans to move around the country to sensitize population, but we suffered major budget cuts, which made it impossible for us to move to all the places where we would have wanted to go. But we went to the Makerere University. We are going to go to the Uganda Christian University. We have gone to one or two schools. So we'd like to have Swahili clubs in the schools, but all this requires us to have some more level of flexibility financially. And as I said, the Trade Remedies Committee is something we need very, very urgently. For instance, I'm back again to fight war with my Kenyan friends on the issue of the milk. In February we resolved it, now it is back, you know. And so for them, they believe that when they have a lot of productivity, then they can stop us. But I told them that no, our production is based on the value chain. If you interfere with the part of the value chain, you are destroying a lot of jobs and children. The same thing, last week when we were in Tanzania, we were talking about Uganda's right to export sugar to Tanzania. Then the minister was telling me that, oh, you know, if we have a deficit, then we shall. Then I said, no, that's not how it is going to work. If I put my warehouse near the border, I've invested in it. You can't tell me that now, for 6 months you don't sell because I've got a lot of sugar. You give us a quota which is clear, which the people of Uganda will know, so that we're able to trade in that manner. So these are the things we are trying to do. But there are challenges, protectionism, and the issue of sovereignty is still there. We need to do a lot of work to make people think as East Africans.
Thank you very much. Do we have any issues now? Members of the public, members of the media? Yes.
Yes, Right Honourable Minister, my name is Paul Bakabulindi. I work with BBS Telefina. Yes, my first question goes to the issue of between Uganda and Kenya, the issue of milk. You have talked about the ban that Kenya still doesn't put respect to the treaty that they agreed upon with Uganda. According to Captain Mike Mukula, he says that over 80 permits of business people from dairy farming in Uganda, they have been, the Kenyan government have been hasn't yet given them their permits without reasons. How far, as the Minister for East African Affairs, have you gone with resolving this issue?
Next.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable. My name is Jordan Mugangizi. I work with MBS. Right Honourable, as an economic policy, Uganda, we value buy Uganda, build Uganda. Yet the policy in terms of East African integration seems to not work in that direction. how do we strike a delicate balance between economic policies as a country, but also not look like we are against the East African integration?
Thank you. Somebody over there, behind there.
Thank you for this opportunity. Good afternoon. My name is Aloysius Byamkama. I'm from Radio Mama. I'm putting a spotlight on Swahili language in this country. I remember some time back you said we are going to be having public classes, maybe at Makerere University or any other places. I remember you making that statement. Where have we reached where members of the public can just go and have public maybe lessons in this language? Then, how is it realized in schools? Because me, when I'm moving, I happen to move in some schools doing my any other business. We seem to be not having maybe teachers interested in this language. Like, how are you working with the Ministry of Education and Sports to realize this? Thank you.
Yeah. Let's hurry up because
thank you so much for the opportunity. My question is very direct. Madam Honorable Minister, the issue of harmonization of standards, what are you doing about this? Thank you.
Okay. I see somebody there.
Honorable Minister, what I want to know, how far have you gone with the...
What's your name, please?
Andreas Wesonga.
From?
I work with the Rice TV. How far have you gone with the issue of the common currency, the East African currency?
Okay. Thank you so much. Right Honorable Prime Minister, these are the views, observations, and questions from the gathering.
Okay.
Take them on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Starting with the issue of milk, I talked about it there. There had been a ban early in the year. We worked together with my counterpart in Nairobi, and it was rescinded. This was now recent. It's very recent. But on Saturday, I contacted the Minister for EAC. She was together with the Minister for Agriculture, who is in charge of the Kenya Dairy Board. And I expect to get a feedback from her this week. We are going to work again to resolve it. However, for me, I think I don't want to continue fighting battles on the same thing for so many times. I think that the real solution is to get additional markets elsewhere, and they are there. The West Africans import milk from Europe. That's the milk they drink in Ghana, in Senegal, those places. So I think that if we had made a proposal to the Ministry of Works to start cargo flights to West Africa, I think it's a very, very good market. It is a virgin market, and I think we can use it. So we are going to try and resolve the milk issue, but the real solution is to get other markets. Now, buy Uganda, build Uganda. This is protectionism I'm talking about. The Tanzanians are also saying, buy Tanzania, build Tanzania. The Kenyans are also saying the same thing. So we need to work out a way. That's why we have this, the Common Market Protocol, where our goods, once they have they satisfy the rules of origin, they should be sold easily within the region. But as I said, the protectionism is there. When I was talking to the Minister for Tanzania about the sugar, she said, no, but we are expanding our sugar industry. So on our side, we said, why don't we sit and agree on what is the comparative advantage for each country, so that we give more opportunity for one country to produce item X and the other one to produce item Y. But all these are policies of each government, and it may be difficult to break them easily, but something we need to work on. On the issue of, there was another question. Someone from Mama Radio, what did you say? Mama Radio? I said. Was that the one of Kiswahili? Yes. Okay, on Kiswahili, I think that really we have made progress. First of all, it's not true that there are no teachers of Kiswahili. We have 54,000 primary schools in Uganda, and we have 62,000 trained teachers of Swahili, but that would mean it is one teacher per school. That would be difficult for one teacher to teach 7 classes. So there is a minimum that we can start with. There are also other teachers of secondary school teachers who teach Swahili. And some schools are already teaching Swahili. I went to these border districts, I think, to Ntungamo. They told me that they're teaching Swahili, even now. Not examinable, but they're teaching it. So many of the border areas are teaching Swahili. So we are looking at a program that Swahili will progressively become examinable and compulsory, so that once we have enough teachers to spread around, but at least there is at least one for each primary school in the country. Standards, harmonization of standards. We have a harmonized, so far 1,000 standards have been harmonized, but we're working with the Bureau of Standards to complete that. It's still work in progress. You know, standards are in a state of flux all the time. So you are harmonizing this one, another one is coming up and so on, but gradually we shall get there. Now, Swahili, or the other thing I must say about Swahili, we approved the creation of the National Swahili Council, so that should be another way to support our programs in training of Swahili. On the issue of the common currency will not come until we have agreed where the Monetary Institute is going to be, because the Monetary Institute will now work on the processes to establish the central bank and also issue the common currency. So the immediate thing we need to do is to decide where the Monetary Institute is going to be. Once that is agreed, they will start work and then set into process, set into play the processes for the single currency, which, by the way, the traders have asked for. They have a lot of trouble with the fluctuation of currencies. You are buying in one currency, selling in a different currency, and making losses. So that is very, very important for integration of this region.
Can we put our hands together once again and thank the Right Honorable for the stellar performance? Right Honorable, thank you so much. Let me add this on behalf of the Right Honorable and say, as members of the media, go and be good ambassadors on this cause of the regional integration. Beyond giving facts about how far we have gone, as far as manifesto implementation is concerned, we also need to allay the unnecessary fears. Issues like the language of Kiswahili. Citizens don't need to look at it as a military language. This is a language of a medium of communication, not as the military. I know here the history is bad, but these are fears we can allay from our citizens. And then the necessary information that we have gotten from here on how the integration is progressing. We need our citizens to be on board and appreciate these steps and the gains. Maybe next time in the third year, Right Honorable would like to hear the gains of the integration so far, in terms of trade, in terms of labor, whatever, all these protocols that we have had. Maybe we need to hear more gains statistically, so that the citizens can know, if I do this, this is where it can lead me. So I want to declare this session officially closed. Right Honorable, we will request for a photo opportunity with the team outside here, and then we wish you all the best. Members of the media, we have another presentation coming in from the Minister of ICT and National Guidance. So let's usher out the Right Honorable First Deputy Prime Minister, and then we come back and start. Thank you.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
It is not albinism. It is not a cancer. It is not witchcraft. It is not that one has HIV/AIDS. It is not contagious. Does not spread through close contact, touching or sharing personal items. No way is it linked to being burnt by twins. It is called vitiligo.
Vitiligo is when a patient presents with part of his body has lost color.
Living with vitiligo has been sometimes challenging when I got older, but when I was younger it was a bit, okay. But as you get older, you feel the stigma around you, even yourself, you start self-stigmatizing.
I started small spots and immediately people said it's abalongo. It was too much on me. Others would say that I aborted twins.
2009, that's how it started on my skin with small patches, and I thought it was ringworms.
My first pose that made me famous was this one. My second pose that made me famous was this pose that I was just like this. People loved it so much.
UBC, inspiring Uganda. A logical, deeper conversation.
How many teachers in Uganda did you consult? But there's a mistake we are making.
Which is good.
Which is good.
Which is good.
Which is good. We went to this school, we ran it to Western, we ran it to Northern, we ran, then you come.
Isn't that an achievement?
Objective and non-partisan.
Honorable Minister, there were a number of points. I want to start with you.
Straight from the hearts of open-minded men and women.
Money tends to move faster at night. So when people are not counting,
don't take it for granted.
Candid and authentic.
Because Uganda is not Thailand.
That's not correct, and we should stop that kind of mentality.
So what I'm saying is
that's
a trick question. Don't answer.
I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into that.
Tell him you speak low.
I think that's where we are beginning to have a problem.
I think what is going to kill the parish model are all the misconceptions on how it's supposed to run.
I know that the Prime Minister is listening.
Behind the headlines.
Charles, let us agree. We liberalized the economy.
We are several nations put it together.
Why don't you appreciate that?
What if it fails?
I'm happy
and
to
he's
answer.
a good lawyer because Amin is not in power.
The parish development committee is functional. It is there. That there is a parish chief, that the beneficiary is doing.
So we look at expenditure. We don't look at revenue. And that is the challenge we are giving them from Minister of Finance.
Your fountain of new knowledge, flowing into the mass body of knowledge.
First get the knowledge of Bukedia, how they want to be modernized.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
You return money to the treasury, which is meant for the people.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Did you know that our #1 value as a nation is to respect and protect the environment? With the current population increase of Uganda and industrialization, this has increased pressure on the natural resources, resulting into environmental degradation and global warming. Developing countries like Uganda could face 80% of the global climate change effects by the year 2030 if no action is taken. Join us here on UBC TV, Inspiring Uganda, on our Eco Plus program, where we bring you an in-depth analysis of issues that are disastrous to our environment. Every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. only on your loved station, the National Broadcaster. UBC is the National Public Broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Roasted vegetable garlic salad. From midsummer to early fall, depending on where you live, farmers' markets hold a bounty of fresh vegetables. They are scrumptious raw in salads and are married of main dishes, especially when the cooler days of the fall make you think of something hot for dinner. Roasted peppers, zucchini, and other seasonal vegetables fit the bill. Ingredients: a quarter cup of olive oil, 1 garlic clove crushed, 1 large red bell pepper seeded and cut in eighths, 1 large green bell pepper seeded and cut in eighths, 1 large yellow bell pepper seeded and cut in eighths, 2 small summer squash cut in eighths, 2 zucchini sliced in eighths, 1 onion peeled and cut in eighths, dash salt, dash pepper, 1 tablespoon of vinegar, rice or sherry, 2 sprigs thyme, leaves picked. Steps to make it: 1. Gather the ingredients. 2. In a small saucepan, warm the oil and garlic over low heat until the garlic begins to bubble. 3. Turn off the heat and allow to sit for 30 minutes to infuse the oil. 4. Preheat the oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. 5. Add the remaining ingredients to a large glass baking dish and strain the garlic oil onto the vegetables. Toast to coat. 6. Roast for 15 minutes in the oven. 7. Then remove and toss the vegetables. 8. Put the baking dish back in the oven and roast for another 15 minutes or until the vegetables are tender and the edges are brown. Serve with a side dish as part of a main dish and enjoy. If you want a simple all-veggie meal, serve up a bigger portion of roasted vegetables with toasty garlic bread and a dry white wine. Roasted vegetables make a rich constraint to light fish like grilled flounder or sole. Roasted vegetable garlic salad. Scallion kimchi recipe for green onion kimchi. Scallion kimchi goes a long way, so you do not have to make a ton to have a nice dish on hand and ready to round out your Korean meals. It also stores well in the fridge, allowing you to make a ton in advance for leftovers. Ingredients: 2 pounds of scallions, washed and rinsed well, with roots and tips removed. A quarter cup of fish sauce. 2 Asian pears, washed, peeled, cored, and puree. 5 cloves of garlic, washed and peeled. 1 inch of ginger, peeled and puree. 2 cups of gochugaru, Korean red pepper powder. 2 tablespoons sesame seeds. 1/2 tablespoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon of rice wine vinegar, 1 cup of water, 2 tablespoons of sweet rice flour. Steps to make it. 1. If the scallions are still wet from your wash, then pat them dry. 2. In a large mixing bowl, pour fish sauce over scallions, coating them well. Let it sit for about 20 to 30 minutes. 3. While the scallions are sitting in a sauce pot over medium, combine the water and sweet rice flour. Stir gently. 4. Heat until bubbly. Turn off the heat and let it cool. 5. Make a seasoning paste of your puree pears, garlic, and ginger by mixing them well. 6. In a mixing bowl, combine your seasoning paste with the gochugaru, sesame seeds, sugar, and vinegar. When the sweet rice paste has cooled, mix it with the spicy seasoning mixture. Mix thoroughly. 7. Pour the combined seasoning mixture over the scallions in the fish sauce. Mix, making sure that the scallion is coated with the sauce. 8. In a glass jar, place the scallions neatly, folding when necessary. Add in small bunches to arrange. 9. Cover with remaining sauce. 10. Screw on lid loosely and let it sit at room temperature. Let the kimchi ferment for a few days. 11. When it's ready to eat, store in the refrigerator. Scallion kimchi.
Teams, you are most welcome. And time is not on our side. Allow me now to request all of you to rise up for the anthems. I just want to declare the session officially open. May you please take your seats. The Honorable Minister and the Minister of State and your technical teams. My name is Willis Washasha, Director Manifesto, On behalf of the Presidency and particularly the Manifesto Implementation Unit, we welcome you and thank you for making time to come and participate. I will not take a lot of time on this like I have been with others, because Minister of ICT and National Guidance are partners. We've been partners in this activity, and we want to thank you for, so far, the job well done. So I beg, which has not been a usual occurrence here, that you join me and we clap for the Minister of ICT and National Guidance for partnering with us to be able to make this activity be where it is. It's not yet concluded. Maybe when it is concluded, I'll have another opportunity with the Minister to thank the country, or my Minister and the Minister to thank the country. I mean to thank the teams and the country for the messages. So, Honorable Minister, you know, because you are part of the Cabinet Information Paper, I just want to take this singular honor and the opportunity to invite you to come and inform the country and citizens how far we have gone on our social contract in the area of ICT and national guidance. Honorable Minister, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Willis Bashasha, the head of the Manifesto Implementation Unit, and I want to salute your team that is here with you. Permit me to recognize my colleague Minister, the Honorable Godfrey Kabianga, Minister of State, in charge of National Guidance, Minister of ICT and National Guidance. We are also joined by the Permanent Secretary, Dr. Amina Zawede, the PS Minister of ICT and National Guidance, here with us. Now, we have very many dignitaries. Now, let me... Dr. Kitogo here is the principal of the Uganda Institute of ICT. We have an institute which trains, it's a tertiary institute, trains in ICT. Here in Nakawa, we have the MD UBC at the extreme end, Mr. Gawa. We have a distinguished lady from NITAU next to him. My team is heavily present here. Now, Mr. Kambarage, the Commissioner for National Guidance, Fred, the man in charge of planning. Maybe the rest of the members from the ministry could rise for recognition. The technical team from the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance. So all of you in your respective portfolios, I respectfully recognize your presence this afternoon, but permit me to salute the team from the Manifesto Implementation Unit, headed by our brother here with us. The rest of the team is here. We want to thank you for a job well done coordinating us after 2 years of implementing the manifesto, for bringing us together. And like we said, our Ministry of ICT and National Guidance is working closely with the team. So we are also, although we are presenting, but we are also like co-hosts, because we are doing this together, and we want to thank you. And I acknowledge the presence of the media and all the other government officials and stakeholders. In the interest of time, let me welcome and thank all of you who have turned up this afternoon. I have a fairly lengthy presentation, but which I will try to summarize. And maybe my team could prepare copies later for those who are interested to get copies, so that some of the details which are contained in the report you can be able to read at your own pleasure and leisure. but on behalf of the ministry, I am presenting a report on the implementation of the manifesto commitments and strategic guidelines and directives, looking at 2021-2026, and that slide gives you the outline where I will take you through the background, then the sector contribution, the performance in the economy, challenges and conclusions. Let me also add that our ministry covers many agencies, namely, so when I present, I am basically presenting for the whole sector, which contains our ministry headquarters, but also we have UBC as one of our agencies. We have UCC that regulates communication facilities. We have NITAU, we have Posta Uganda, we have UTCL, former UTL, which is a telecom company. We have Uganda Media Center. We have the Media Council of Uganda. We have New Vision. So all these agencies that are under the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, their reports are contained in the presentation which I am making. As part of the background, let me say that NRM remains committed to translating the economic growth and development by helping more people to take advantage of the existing socio-economic infrastructure, roads, electricity, and ICT to create jobs and wealth, as a broad statement. Secondly, NRM, as we all know, has identified 4 critical sectors for jobs and wealth creation. And the President has been very clear in articulating these 4 sectors, which include commercial agriculture, industrialization, services, and then ICT, which has brought us here this afternoon. Section 4.7 of the 2021-26 Manifesto emphasizes that ICT is essential in improving national productivity because it has the potential to make government and business enterprises more efficient, effective, and globally competitive. As we all appreciate, we now cannot avoid ICT being an integral part of whatever sector would want to perform. And also in the manifesto, NRM pledges that we'll use ICT for e-education, e-security, e-governance, e-health, e-extension to deliver government services better. In other words, NRM committed to ensuring that in order for the different sectors and disciplines to perform better, then ICT will be promoted to facilitate that fast growth. And therefore, our work as a ministry for ICT is to ensure that ICT can enable the different sectors to be more functional, more effective, more efficient, and for those sectors to deliver much better. Also, the 2021-26 Manifesto highlights 3 critical areas for the sector, namely to increase the ICT network coverage and penetration so that we don't only enjoy ICT services in the Kampala and urban areas, but from corner to corner, Ugandans should be able to enjoy ICT services, but also to promote the utilization of ICT and enhance digital skills and innovation. These are captured in the 2021-26 Manifesto, and therefore ICT was realized as a key priority area to address in this period. Even if Mr. Willis Bashasha said you stop there, there is no time. That is the summary of how we have performed. I can even conclude from there. You put it back. Aha. It is like the Honorable Kasaja's economy before COVID, when it was going up. So from our assessment of how we have performed in the 2 years out of the 5, what we expected to carry out in the 2 years, the 2 initial years of the 5-year term, we are seeing an upward trajectory in terms of implementing what is expected of us. So that can give you a summary. Even if you don't pick anything from my presentation, just remember that the graph was going upwards. In other words, we are not performing badly. But let me give you some few details that are contained in the report. The ICT is one of the crucial pillars that the government has flagged to drive socio-economic growth and transformation, like I had already said. And ICT adoption remains critical in improving service delivery for citizens and businesses and to foster more productive, competitive economy and inclusive growth. It is also critical for creating wealth and enhancing financial inclusion. ICT services in Uganda continue to grow at an impressive average growth rate of 14.8% during the period 14-15, 19-20. In other words, as part of the background, we are indicating that the ICT sector is one of the fastest growing sectors in the country. And the ICT sector contributed 2% of the aggregate nominal GDP in the financial year 21-22. Well, these figures, like the previous one, may be reflecting an earlier period because UBOS, working with all of us, are still working out the most current figures, but it gives you the trend and direction in terms of the sector. Next. Yes, that graph shows you the ICT sector gross value added at the current price, and it shows you from 2016 to 2017 up to 2020, 2021. So this graph shows the ICT sector value added in nominal terms, and it shows it has increased from 2.35 to 2.93 from financial year 2021, from financial year 1920 to 2021. Overall, it shows that increment, as you can see. The total estimated formal ICT imports bill in 2021 increased to $256.27 million US dollars, increasing from 255.54 in 1920, translating into a 0.3% increase. That are the ICT imports bill. The ICT sector revenue collections also increased by 19% to 2.245 trillion shillings in the financial year 2020-21, and this was up from 1.819 trillion in the financial year 1920. So the revenue corrections as a result of the ICT sector continued to increase when you compare those two financial years. 1920 and 2021, you can see the increase by 19%. Information and communication services represented 91.7% of total ICT sector revenue, and telecom services alone represented 83.6% of the total ICT sector revenue. So clearly you appreciate that the ICT sector is one of those areas contributing significantly to the revenue base in our economy. I continue with the ICT sector performance in the economy. Uganda's GovTech Maturity Index value has risen from 0.639 in 2020 to 0.858 in 2022. Uganda has moved from Group B to Group A, and this is according to the World Bank Maturity Index 2022 report. Basically, this measures the use of technology in the government services as captured by this World Bank indicator, the GovTech Maturity Index, showing that we are moving upwards. So I am giving these details to justify the other graph, the other arrow, the other summary of the presentation, which shows that things are improving for the better despite the challenge of COVID-19, which we faced at the beginning of this term. The GovTech Maturity Index, the GTMI, measures the key aspects of 4 GovTech focus areas: supporting core government systems, enhancing service delivery, mainstreaming citizen engagement, and fostering GovTech enablers. So that explains that index that the World Bank uses. The next slide shows you the ICT usage statistics ranging from mobile subscription, the teledensity, public infrastructure providers, and many of those statistics which clearly show that we are on the upward trajectory in terms of the services and the utilization. So that part shows you that the indicators continue to improve, and ICT clearly makes a significant contribution, whether it is in the economy or the other aspects of development. The outcome and impact indicators show we are on a positive trajectory. I now move to the sector contribution to the National Development Plan 3. And we are looking at the areas of digital transformation program, which we superintend over because our sector is responsible for spearheading the digital transformation in this country. And under the NDP 3, digital transformation is one of the key areas in that plan. We are also looking at community mobilization and mindset change, because our ministry, although we call it the ICT, sometimes it can be confusing. If you open it, it is Ministry of Information, comma, then you can say ICT and national guidance. There is that information of communication. And then you have the ICT aspect, the information technology aspect, then the national guidance. So apart from the ICT, which is technology, we also look at issues of community mobilization and mindset change that are captured under communication and national guidance. Then the public sector transformation, then the regional balanced development. That slide shows the different agencies under the sector which I had already outlined, and the report captures the performance of all these sectors that are coordinated by our ministry. Continuing with the sector contribution to NDP3, the overall goal of the digital transformation program, no, just go behind a bit, the previous slide. Yes, that one. The overall goal of the digital transformation program is to increase ICT penetration and use of ICT services for social and economic transformation, economic development. And that slide shows the objectives and the sub-programs, and the expected results are to increase ICT penetration, reduce the cost of ICT devices and services, and create more direct jobs in the sector and increase government services online. And some of these are work in progress. For instance, I know I will capture it somewhere. The key question which people ask us is, when will internet become much more affordable? The cost now, today, the government internet service is at $70 per megabyte per second per month. And this is a drop from about 300 around 2016. It has dropped from $300 per megabyte per second to now 70. Starting next financial year, it will drop to 35. And next financial year is around the corner. It's just a few days from now, maybe a month and a few days. We are also working on the issue of bringing down the cost of smart devices, because one of the challenges we have as a sector now is that smartphones, laptops, iPads, tablets are still expensive for the ordinary Ugandan in Katakwi, in Karamoja, in West Nile. And we are discussing with a number of technology companies, one, to attract them to come and assemble and manufacture these devices from here, and some of them have already started, but also as ministers of ICT in the East African region, we are having discussions with a view of engaging these technology companies so that we can bring in these devices within our countries through a negotiated arrangement, so that a smartphone should be afforded by any Ugandan. In any case, we are upgrading the technology from 2G, 3G, now to 5G, so that when you talk of being able to use our smart devices, it shouldn't be a preserve of you who can afford, you the rich, or us who probably earn a salary, but even those brothers and sisters of ours in the villages should be able to walk in a shop and buy a smartphone at 40,000 or 50,000, and that will deepen the penetration of ICT services in this country. And I'm sure by the time we report in the 5th year of the manifesto, there will be huge progress in many of these areas. Now that slide takes you to the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance Sector contributions to the NDP3, how we contribute. Now the slide that I have challenges my eyesight, and but clearly the various sub-slides show you how important our ministry is in terms of facilitating the achievement of the goals and aspirations of Uganda as expressed in the NDP 3. Continuing with the contribution to NDP 3, speaking of the community mobilization and mindset change, this aims to empower families, communities, and citizens to embrace national values and actively participate in sustainable development. And the key results under this include increased participation of families, communities, and citizens in development initiatives, enhanced media coverage of national programs, and better uptake and or utilization of public services, education, health, child protection at the community and the district level. And I'm sure all of us appreciate that we have a vibrant media in Uganda, and I want to thank the journalists and media practitioners here, UBC and other media outlets. The other day we were having a discussion on May 3rd on World Press Freedom Day, and I told the gathering that Uganda is one of the few countries where there is freedom of speech, freedom after speech, and Ugandans are free to express themselves in the different platforms, whether it is TV or radio. And then some people were disagreeing with me, saying, no, there is no media freedom in Uganda. And I asked them, how many journalists are in prison because of their work? And there was nobody. There was nobody. How many journalists in the last 1 year have been injured or killed because of their work? There was nobody. So we have a vibrant media in Uganda, I want to insist, and that is a deliberate policy position of government that the Ugandans should be free to discuss issues of their concern, that even when you criticize the government, we take the criticism in good faith, and we learn from that criticism to improve delivery of services to all Ugandans. And that remains our stand, that we shall continue to support media freedoms and ensure that the media is vibrant and remains vibrant. But of course, to you, the media, that comes with responsibility. It doesn't mean you become irresponsible. We call for responsibility as you do media practice. Again, continuing with the sector contribution to NDP3, looking at the public sector transformation program, this aims to improve public sector response to the needs of the citizens and the private sector. And the key results include to increase government effectiveness index from 0.52 to 0. I think the other way, from negative 0.52 to 0.01, and reduce corruption as measured by the Corruption Perception Index from 26% to 35%. The reduction means 35 to 26. An increase in attractiveness of Uganda as an investment destination as measured by the Global Competitiveness Index from 48.9 to 55. One of the key questions in the media debate has been, has corruption increased in Uganda, or we have become more open about discussing corruption in Uganda? What do you think? Because there has been a bigger debate about corruption, and as the government, we have put in place institutions, laws, policies, and all mechanisms to fight corruption. And it may not necessarily be true that corruption has increased, but I think government has taken the lead itself in exposing cases of corruption and allowing Ugandans to debate these issues freely, because we remain committed to pursuing the policy of zero tolerance to corruption, and our sector, in charge of national guidance and communication, we continue to support the government in that debate and discussion. The Regional Development Program aims to accelerate equitable regional economic growth and development, and the key results include increased production, capacity of key growth opportunities, increased household earnings in the sub-regions from ATM, increased market access and value addition, enhanced agro-led business, improved leadership capacity for transformative rural programs, etc., etc. So this section clearly outlines how the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance contributes to the National Development Plan 3. Moving forward, the next slide, we look at sector performance on the implementation of the manifesto commitments and strategic guidelines. Again, next, we are looking at the ICT network coverage and the penetration, which is captured in section 4.72 of the manifesto. Next. That map shows you access to ICT services, especially the voice coverage. We are looking at mobile cellular voice coverage at a national level, and we're saying the mobile cellular geographic signal coverage stands at 80% of the country, and this translates into population coverage of 72% for basic voice. What this means is that almost from corner to corner, you are able to communicate by voice. The signal for the telecommunications is almost everywhere, save for few areas, maybe the mountainous areas where you get shadows, like my place in Chigezi, where you may be. One side of the hill you get network, and the other side of the hill, that covers for the 20%, but we have expanded the telecom presence, and we can now communicate from Karamoja to Chigezi, from West Nile to Bukedi, and we continue to even ensure that those areas which constitute the 20% also get covered by the time we complete this period of the manifesto. The next, we are looking at the access to ICTs, the broadband coverage, connectivity. Again, in terms of geographical coverage, you see the bigger part of the country is covered. Geographical coverage of broadband services, that's 3G, stands at 89% of the population. So you can clearly see that in terms of connectivity, we have also covered a bigger part of the country, and we continue to reach those areas which are not yet covered. The ICT infrastructure, again, we speak of a total of 4,924 kilometers of fiber optic cable has been laid across 58 districts. This is the national backbone infrastructure, the cable which takes internet. And as you know, we are a landlocked country, so we pick the internet from the undersea cable, which passes through Kenya and then serves us. So we have been trying to extend it to cover the whole country. So over half of the country is covered. We have in plan arrangements to extend the fiber to the rest of the districts and also do what we call last mile connections, so that we connect the district headquarters, sub-county headquarters, schools, health centers, and other government infrastructure. So we are moving. So over the period, we have continued to expand the national fiber. ICT infrastructure and development, a national data center and a disaster recovery site were established, fully equipped with state-of-the-art technology, which is utilized for centralized hosting services, disaster recovery services, and other data center services for government applications and data. You know, in this era of information technology, we generate a lot of data, and we have to construct data centers. There are countries which host their data outside. You find a country in Africa hosting its data in Europe or America or Asia. But for us, we have constructed our own data centers, one in Kampala here, another one in Jinja, where we host our own data, and we have plans to construct additional data centers which will store our data in Uganda. And in the next slide, we say by the end of 2021, Mobile network coverage, 3G or above, was available to 89% of the population. Tests for internet connectivity using VSAT technology have been conducted in the tourist sites of Bugindi and Kidepo Valley National Parks. What this one means is that we have tested to see whether we can use satellite technology to expand connectivity and access to internet, especially in those areas of Bugindi, Kidepo, and other national parks, where it may not be easy to extend some of these infrastructure, but then we can supplement using satellite technology to ensure that those areas which are not covered, like I said, the 20%, the national parks and protected areas, the hilly and mountainous areas where you can't, where you get shadows, now we want to supplement with the satellite technology. We have also done the validation of SIM card registration with the national ID details. This has been done. Looking at digital services as captured in section 4.72b of the manifesto, again, we are focusing on digitizing service delivery. And we have a number of achievements which we outline. The online service index, which has improved from 50% in 2016 to 58.24 in 2020. National ICT systems, government services, the e-government services, e-services rolled out, ICT-based community centers. Basically what these speak to is that we are progressively moving from analog processes to digital processes, automating government services. You recall many years ago when the government wanted to pay workers, say in Bundibujo, they would withdraw money and then the vehicles physically transport money to Bundibujo. That's how payments. I recall even one time the road to Bundibujo was cut off by landslides, so money had to be flown by helicopter to go and pay workers. But now, cutters of technology, this is no more. You just get money on your account. Payment is done through the banking system on your account. You can even get your phone, you get your message that the money has come. You can even now transfer the money from your bank account to your phone, and then you can just cash from a mobile money kiosk. So that is technology. So we are automating government services, things like procurement and many other areas are being automated. So basically those slides are speaking to the function of digitizing service delivery, and in the last 2 years, a lot of developments have occurred in terms of digitizing the government systems, what we call e-government services. Looking at the digital skills and innovation. Next slide. I'm trying to summarize because I have many slides. If I am to read word by word, it may get dark, yet we have a session for you to raise questions. Yes, looking at the digital skills and innovation, which is a key area that we focus on as a sector, as captured in section 4.7.2 of the manifesto. We are looking at the digital literacy. And in the period we are reporting about, over 1,150 school ICT laboratories have been equipped under the RCDF program that is run by UCC with computers and printers. Basically, put it in short, that we have been equipping schools with computers because, as you know, ICT now is a compulsory subject in our education system at secondary level, and therefore one of the areas we have been tackling is to build the capacity of the different schools with the physical computers to enable learners to get skills. Also, over 3,000 teachers and school heads have been retooled in partnership with the Ministry of Education and Sports. Over 10,000 SMEs have been trained in the use of ICTs for business as part of the digital literacy program, and over 80 sensitization sessions on cyber laws and cyber security have been conducted. And we are mounting a very big drive to cause digital literacy, because it's not enough to lay the national backbone infrastructure to expand connectivity, but Ugandans must be digitally literate. They must have the know-how, how they can use this ICT. Like most people have phones, but they just use the function of calling and maybe a WhatsApp message. And yet a phone is a computer. It can do very, very many functions, especially a smartphone. So we must, at all times, address the issue of digital literacy so that people get used to carrying out transactions using a mobile phone or a computer wherever they are. Because you can now order for items, if you're a business person, just using your smartphone. You don't have to travel from Kabale to Kampala to order for some items. You can currently do it on phone, and those items are delivered. So, as a ministry, we are focusing on creating this digital literacy. And the Uganda Institute of ICT master plan has been developed, and the institute infrastructure refurbished. That's the UICT headed by Dr. Ktogo here. Again, 5 specialized labs at UICT have been refurbished and equipped. That's an electronics lab, a telecom lab, electrical lab, multimedia lab, VUE professionals, professional testing and certification center, computer laboratories, including the server room. So these are specialized labs which have been established at UICT to enable teaching and learning. And the next bullet outlines the other key achievements which have been registered by the Uganda Institute of Communications Technology, including the number of students trained, the professionals who have got their certificates, the participants who have been trained in the COVID-19 Workforce Recovery Initiative Program, and the other trainees that have benefited from many other training programs offered by our UICT, the Uganda Institute of Communications Technology. Again, we have also carried out activities in terms of training the person with disability, training them in areas of ICT, particularly by UCC and the UICT. We are also looking at the digital innovations. We have an innovation fund where we get young people especially and support them to come up with different innovations, and they have been able to come up with a number of applications which are solutions to the day-to-day challenges that we face here in Uganda. Again, continuing with innovations, we have established 3 regional ICT innovation hubs at Kabale University, Soroti University, and Muni University. And these have been completed and are due for opening. We have partnerships have been made with the academic institutions, including Makerere University and Wits University. The ministry also has partnerships with all the local private innovation hubs. So we are partnering with the educational institutions, including universities, to establish these innovation hubs so that our own students and our own experts can be able to do all these innovations. People have been asking me on press conferences, when are you opening Facebook? That has been a key question, and I've also been answering back that why do you glorify Facebook, which was designed by somebody from outside? Why can't we design our own Facebook as Ugandan experts? Because we are teaching computer science and IT in all these universities. So instead of clamoring and yearning for Facebook, which is a platform developed by external people, we can also, through our competences to carry out innovations, develop our own version of Facebook. But I also know, like I've been saying, we've been engaging people behind Facebook so that once they agree with us as government, then it may be opened, but it also creates a challenge for our own innovators and ICT experts to develop our own version of Facebook. So through the ministry, we've been using our innovation fund to support young people and other innovators to come up with solutions to our day-to-day challenges. And we have our main innovation hub at Nakawa, which I invite you, especially the media, to visit and see the good work which is being done there. And that slide, which looks like a coronavirus, that's how a virus is shaped, but it's just a coincidence, lists the various innovators that are hosted at our Nakawa Innovation Hub. Those many innovators are hosted there, and day in, day out, they are working out various innovations, providing many solutions, ICT solutions to our day-to-day challenges and our task. And going forward is to expand these innovation hubs, to have them in our regional centers, in our cities, so that our people can get involved in ICT innovations. Our next slide speaks about developing ICT parks. Government has provided land in Entebbe, and we are in the process of constructing an IT BPO park. We have already secured an investor who is working with the ministry to set up a huge IT BPO park. It will be the Silicon Valley of Uganda. BPO is business process outsourcing, which basically speaks to creation of job opportunities, especially for our young people. A feasibility study has also been completed, and a transaction advisor procured for this intervention. And the design has been completed, and the market sounding exercise has been undertaken. And the proposal is being concluded by the privatization unit, and the cabinet will soon approve it, and then the ICT park will be constructed in Irunyo, Entebbe. And also subsidized internet bandwidth is being provided to 5 BPO innovation companies, namely Cameo Tech, Technobrain, Moontech, BDE Consults, and Seyman Consults. And the government of Uganda BPO Center at Statistics House and the private BPO centers are providing employment to the youth. One of the tasks which we have at our hand as a ministry is to use ICT to create jobs, especially for our young people. And we have just completed a BPO policy, which we have approved as a ministry, which cabinet will soon approve, because we would want to create as many jobs, especially for graduates who come out of our tertiary institutions, including universities, to get jobs, both within but also outside. And the BPO jobs basically entail working for companies without necessarily you physically going there. You can work for a company in Europe or Asia when you are physically domiciled here in Uganda, but you work for an offshore company. So we are working on this. Looking at legal and regulatory environment, the principles for review of the core ICT sector governing laws were developed, and we are drafting instructions for the new information and communication law have already been sent to the Attorney General. So we are reforming the law on communication by consolidating all the laws, existing laws on communication, so that we build them into one law. Because we have a law, the Uganda Communications Act, which establishes UCC. We have an act which establishes UBC. We have the Press and Journalism Act that establishes the Uganda Media Council. We have the Computer Misuse Act that speaks to use of computer and social media. So we are consolidating all these laws into one law. And the process is quite advanced. We presented the principles in the cabinet, and the further drafting is taking place. We have also finalized the transfer of all assets and liabilities of the old UTL to the new Uganda Telecommunications Corporation Limited, UTCL, where all digital infrastructure is going to be managed. Friends, you all know that we had UTL, which UTL suffered a severe sickness, if I can say, but is now on its way to recovery. We have since formed a new company called UTCL, the Uganda Telecommunications Corporation Limited, whose directors or shareholders are Ministry of Finance and Ministry of ICT. You recall UTL, the shareholders were government of Uganda and the government of Libya. So we have since moved to a new company and transferred the assets and paid off the liabilities and the debts. And we are now in advanced processes, advanced stages of recapitalizing this company so that we establish a government telecom company which will not compete but provide services alongside the existing private sector players like MTN, like Airtel, like Leica Mobile, and the other telecom service providers. So we are capitalizing this company so that we have a government telecom company that provides those telecom services. The next slide talks of the different policies and strategies which we are working on. You can peruse through the national ICT policy, the national guidance policy, the communication policy, and many other policies and strategies and roadmaps which the ministry is working on in order to further implement what is captured in the manifesto that we are speaking about. On the area of community mobilization and mindset change, UBC, we are now coming to you. We are saying the UBC National Radio Service has been restored in some of those areas where it was lacking, like Rubirizi, Arua, Soroti, Kisoro, Lila, Mbarara, Masaka, and this has improved the radio network coverage from 60% to 70%, and we continue to strive to push it to 100%. UBC has been rebranded with a fresh, youthful look and a feel, and more work is being done on UBC so that it remains and stays as a station of everyone's preference. And the MD is here. If you have questions about UBC, he will be able to respond when time comes. And the quality of content on radio and TV has improved. At least I get feedback from many people that the UBC, the picture is now much better than it was in the past. At least for those who watch UBC, and they want to salute UBC for that improvement. And 8 brand new television studio sets have been set up for UBC TV and Star TV. And digital terrestrial television, DTT free-to-air network, has increased TV signal coverage from 20% in 2016 to 60% in 2023, and TV content providers clients from 20 in 2017 to 40 in 2023. In a nutshell, UBC has improved in the period that we are reporting. In terms of media engagement, the Uganda Media Council is in place to review and monitor the media. The Media Council is the one which oversees the professional conduct and behavior of journalists and the media practitioners, and it is there functioning. The Government Citizens Interaction Center, the GCIC, provided digital social media communication on government programs. And also there has been improved visibility of government programs through various communication channels like talk shows, social media engagements, press statements. On media engagement, again, enforcement of laws, regulations, and standards have been undertaken. Some stations have been warned, fined, or suspended from broadcasting. And media practitioners have been trained and sensitized on broadcasting standards. And I want to thank the Uganda Media Council. It has been carrying out sensitizations of journalists from different parts of the country. Of course, here the challenge remains social media in Uganda. Because social media has taken journalism to another level. Now, anybody can be a journalist now. You just get your phone and write anything. I have increasingly seen even members of parliament now making submissions for purposes of being captured by TikTok. They make TikTok submissions. Like recently when the Honorable Semu Junganda said, the president under State House is spending 350 million shillings to buy his clothing. Can you imagine? Now, clothing as a budget line captured under State House. House is a government department. It is not a president's home in the context of my home where I stay. It is a government department that employs workers, that has a wide network of employees. Like that clothing is the one they use because the State House has been supporting the skilling program. I'm sure you have watched the State House controller opening these skilling centers where you find these young people dressed in uniform. Now that's what the budget is supporting. But the NMP who knows, he just says, no, this money is for the president to buy a suit, simply because TikTok will capture him and then it spreads. So this is the influence of social media. But now, Annette brings an uproar. Oh, the president, how can he spend all that money on his clothing? When the MP, because MPs are privy to this information, because they debate and discuss these policy statements, look at the details, they know a State House has the staff in the kitchen, the chefs, they have to be dressed as chefs. The budget handles all those, not the president as a person. But somebody chooses to package it in a way that will make it sensational for him to say on social media. So I'm just using this as an example on how social media is influencing our communication, including influencing our own members of parliament and high-profile people, simply because of the excitement social media has brought. But we shall continue to make laws that make people responsible, because there is a tendency for Uganda, a section of Ugandans to abuse social media. Once in a while you see people declaring others dead when they are alive, simply because there is that and a controlled use of social media, because the traditional media usually has editors. Before you publish a story, it is looked at by an editor, but social media, anybody can access it. But we just want to warn the public that we should remain responsible while we use social media, but we shall also be invoking provisions of the law in order to keep everybody in line. On information and national guidance, the National Service Program has been designed, and a bill to operationalize Article 17 and Objective 29 of the Constitution on the duties of a citizen is in progress, and we have also conducted public awareness campaigns on National Objective 29 on the duties of a citizen, and their response to government directives have been monitored. Ugandans sometimes speak as if they are non-Ugandans. And let me say that we may be Ugandans of different political persuasion, because we agreed to have a multi-party dispensation. But our duty as a ministry responsible for national guidance is to continue to appeal to Ugandans that despite our diversity, despite the issues which make us different, we must all continue to remember that we are Ugandans and should be proud of Ugandans. So the Constitution clearly outlines the duties and responsibilities of a citizen, which we are now going to condense into a law, but we continue to guide that let's remain united as Ugandans, even when there are areas of religion, tribe and ethnic origin, gender, political party affiliation. All of these make us different, but we all remain Ugandan. Somebody who is not a non-Ugandan made a comment that when you check on the internet, if you Google Uganda, Ugandans are some of the people who criticize their country compared to other countries. They speak negative about their country as if they are not Ugandans. So we have, my Commissioner for National Guidance is here. We have a very big role, a very big job to do, to impress it upon ourselves as Ugandans that even when we are different in many ways, but we should be patriotic and we should all defend Uganda, because this is our home and we don't have any other Uganda where we shall live. This is the only country. The coordination of government communication has been strengthened through government communication officers, because every government ministry and agency and department has a communications officer, including districts. Districts also have communication officers who are supported by RDCs, and the RDCs, together with the communication officers, manage communication for government at a district level and local government level. And therefore, in the current term, we have strengthened that machinery of government communication. The GCIC has continued to provide digital communication on government programs. And we have also built strong partnerships and coordination with the various stakeholders of the digital transformation program that include government MDAs, private sector, development partners, civil society, etc., etc. On promoting and upholding democracy and good governance, the national guidance sessions on common good and national values have been delivered around the country, and in partnership with the NARI, as Chankwanzi, and the Patriotism Secretariat. Also, civic education on promotion of constitutionalism and good governance have been conducted for elected and appointed leaders, as well as conducted awareness sessions on regional cooperation and Pan-Africanism. Our targets for the remaining 3 years include, as a sector, to increase ICT penetration so that 90% national broadband coverage with minimum speed of 8 megabytes per second. We are looking at digital terrestrial television signal coverage from 56% to 95%, and also 70% NBI connectivity in government MDAs. So we are looking at increasing ICT penetration, access to internet, and also improving the TV signal and reception, and also to reduce the cost of ICT devices and services, as I earlier on mentioned, and we feel by the end of this manifesto period, the cost of internet should go down to $20 per megabyte per second. And also this subsequently will bring down the cost of internet provided by the other private providers like MTN, Airtel, and the others. And like I said earlier on, we want to bring down the cost of a computer, the smart devices, like computers, from 1.6 million to 800,000 Uganda shillings. We also want to create jobs, and we target to create at least 300,000 jobs within the ICT sector, and also ensure that by the end of this manifesto period, 80% of the government services should be provided online. And already, many of the services are being provided online. Like if you want to get a passport and many other services. Again, the next slide shows the key focus areas in the next 3 years of Nrm Manifesto, which look at the last mile connections of the broadband infrastructure, the national fiber. We want to connect all the essential centers. The last mile connections to schools, hospitals, so that we have connectivity in the rest of the country. Rolling out e-services, we want to support districts and local governments to be online and do transactions online, and also to develop and commercialize local ICT products, create employment opportunities through ICT, and extend the scope of the parish development management system and rolling it out to the entire country. And basically, we are supporting the PDM so that the transactions and the processes can be digitized, so that we move from manual processes to digital processes. Some of the challenges, as I conclude, the challenges which we face as a sector are that despite the potential that ICT has, utilization of its services in the country still remains limited due to limited coverage, poor quality services, the high cost of the user devices and services, inadequate ICT knowledge, the digital illiteracy, and the limited innovation capacity. And we strive to work on all these challenges and turn them into opportunities. There is inadequate appreciation by the population of ICT, including in the government. We still have an advocacy role to play so that Ugandans, including those serving in the government, can appreciate that ICT is a very important area that we need to support in order to drive socio-economic transformation. pirates of content produced by the youth, especially musicians, video and audio artists, comedians. Yes, although we have a law that tries to protect intellectual property, but we still need to strengthen it, because a musician will compose his song and you find it being played on all radios, and probably the composer, the author of the song, does not reap as much in terms of financial benefits as he should. So we need to strengthen the law to protect these innovators. Inadequate ICT innovativeness among the young people. The young people are using ICT mainly to do a lot of unproductive communication through social media, on WhatsApp and Facebook, and instead of engaging into innovative interventions which can help our digital economy. So we needed to shift from just these communications on social media, which are not very helpful in my view, but rather we orient our young people to engage more into innovation and using technology to earn and create jobs. Low dependence on e-services, and also high costs of ICT products and services. Cyber crime, cyber security issues are also becoming issues of concern. Unregulated ICT infrastructure development and deployment, but we have come up with a policy that guides on infrastructure, not only for ICT, but all the different infrastructures, that if we are laying the fiber for ICT, National Water is laying pipes for water and sewerage, the people in electricity are also laying their infrastructure. We should be able to have infrastructure corridors where we can put all this infrastructure. Because you see in Kampala here, the people of National Water, they lay their pipes. Shortly after, you see a telecom company digging the same ground, destroying the road. Afterwards, another company comes. So we have come up with a policy to have this sharing of the infrastructure, so that we put the infrastructure together. Low funding is one of the challenges, and also digital. The high taxes, especially the complaint on taxes on data, which many people complain that's a hindrance to utilization of ICT, which we need to address. The taxation regime as it affects the ICT sector needs to be looked at, and of course digital illiteracy, as I have already mentioned, is one of the challenges that we have. So as I conclude, my parting shots in the last slide are that the sector has registered many achievements in line with the Nrm Manifesto, Uganda Vision 2040, NDP 3, and the ICT sector strategic and investment plan. So for us in the ICT sector, despite the challenges, we work with our heads very high, because we feel we have been able to register a number of achievements in the last 2 years of implementing the Nrm Manifesto. The sector also came up with several interventions, including comprehensive coverage by UBC, online platforms, and video conferencing systems. We feel that increasingly ICT is being felt in the country. We are automating most of the processes and transactions within government and the private sector. We have a vibrant media where we are communicating both from the center and also in the local governments, and with a vibrant private sector, because like most of the radios are owned by private actors, and the communication goes on in earnest. And the social media has also come to spice up communication. Yes, we need strength and regulation, but we feel happy that communication is not hindered in this country, and we feel we are moving positively. To take you back to the other slide, which was showing an upward trajectory, is that from our computations, we do feel that the ICT and national guidance sector has achieved over 35% of the Nrm Manifesto commitments and presidential directives in the 2 years. So if you get 2 years out of 5, and you were to divide equally, it would mean 2 out of 5 as a percentage would be 40%. Am I correct? Mathematically. So instead of 40, our assessment is that we have got 35%. So that means 35 out of 40. So if you were a teacher and this was the promotional exam, you would promote us to continue. So with that, I hope people listening and all of you are here, you will promote us to go from year 2 to year 3. So this has been our performance. I thank you very much for listening to me, and we are here, like I earlier on introduced my team, the minister, the PS, and the technical team. We shall all be ready to respond to any questions and points of clarification which you may have to raise, because I know I have not been able to raise each and whatever you should have listened to because of time, but we are ready, Mr. Chairman, to receive questions and respond to any issues which might come. We bring apologies from our other colleague, Minister Joyce Seborwao. She's not here, but she's representing us elsewhere in the cabinet, today being a cabinet day. So thank you very much. May God bless all of you.
Another big applause for Honorable Minister. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. And we want to thank you for the elaborate presentation and the efforts so far. We are now going into a Q&A session. Honorable Minister, with your indulgence, allow me first to introduce to you the team I work with at the unit. I have my Deputy Director here, Mr. Fred Kamjira. Yeah. It was an oversight on my part to start before. Then I have my Assistant Director, Mr. Richard Bakoja. My technical team, the other side, the PAS, Gloria Mwenge, the economists, they are all here with us. Honorable Minister, I would also like to report you have a team which has been here working with us. I don't know whether they are still here as we patterned in this activity. I don't see bracing. I don't see Were from Media Center and Bishanda and other social warriors. Where are you? The social media warriors. Yeah, who have been here. The ladies. Yeah. So, Honorable, we will be able to move on, and I believe the country, wherever you are, you have been able to watch. And we also want to salute the efforts by UBC, which has also been part of the team that has been streaming alive these functions in partnership with NBS. So we thank you for this effort. Honorable Minister, before I open the discussion of Q&A, make a few observations from from the unit. First and foremost, we want to commend the efforts that have been made in making sure that the commitments that are in the social contract are being progressed on well from your score, which I think is not far away from the truth. And I want to also to re-echo your comments that the ICT is an enabler in this transformation agenda. It's one of the 4 areas which the President identified as very key in terms of the transformation agenda. So you have, and your team, you have really big responsibility to live up to this expectation. Honorable Minister, these are the observations, for us by virtue of our work. We also travel this country very extensively, and we want to agree with you. We want to say that the last mile connection is still not up to date. We still have areas which are not yet connected to the, you call it what? The backbone. And in a way, these areas are still denied from the privilege of enjoying the digital services. And I think they are still handling their aspects manually, especially the extreme northeast in Karamoja and some other aspects of the countries. Even where the connections have been, it's not yet connected to our main government operation, which I think, as you talk about of e-governance and digitizing the whole government processes, I think we need to prioritize making sure that these connections get to our government infrastructures and people can be able to benefit from the digitizing of these services. In the team you introduced, I never heard of somebody from UCU, Uganda Communication, UCC, Uganda Communications, and this is an area that touches many aspects of communication. I think we still have many unregistered SIMs. Can you please come here so that you listen attentively? We still have issues of unregistered SIMs which are promoting crime in this country. We don't know whether we don't have the capacity or it is something that is not, that cannot be handled. We know government and the sector has moved on this area by ensuring that all the biodata and other related aspects of the users are captured for purposes of being able to track who is who, using what line at a given point. But we still have many unregistered SIMs, and many of the crimes that are committed in the country, tracking has been a problem simply because we cannot trust these the phone calls and whatever to the real criminals. So I think it's an area where UCC needs to move on very, very strongly. And it has been on and on. I don't know why we are not coming to the top of the game. Secondly, citizens are also concerned about the issue of charges, especially on dropped calls. So it's an area where UCC needs to come to terms with these communication companies. Why are they charging us when calls are dropped? The call has not gone through, but money is taken. I think that's it's not a fair trade practice or a fair consumption practice. So we need to engage our communication providers, and they should also know that they are here for the citizens as the citizens are there for them. We want to salute the effort where the government has moved in the direction of digitizing government business. I think there are many E's now, e-tax, e-what. this is a very positive direction. And the Minister, as you have observed, ICT being an enabler, this works very well. Yeah, we also want to say that COVID, as it also brought its side effects, but it also should have, the positive aspect of COVID is that it also intrigued our minds to start looking at alternatives on how we can be able to deal with certain situations when it kind of intrigued us to move away from having taken certain things for granted. And one of them, I think, is the area of online doing of things. We saw the birth of Zoom and coming on very seriously, which I think as a country we are able to access, and you have a platform or an environment which can enable us to use Zoom. And many of our children could also access education through online. And I thought this would now be picked on and become an agenda. Maybe we should start talking also of e-education, so that many of our children can also benefit. But you realize this could not cut across the country. It remained a privilege of few, and many of our children who could not access internet and whatever could not benefit from this. So the further we expand our backbone and be able to have our country wired with this backbone, the better for us. In the same spirit, this is in a way, like you say, helping government also fight corruption by reducing the human interface through which many of the problems originate. So we believe that maybe you also need to evaluate further whether this digitizing or the e-government service deliveries we have introduced, to what extent have they minimized this monster that we are fighting with, that is impacting on us negatively. Honorable Minister, you have touched on the issue of the PDM. We have been engaging our local leaders on this area. They are not yet happy with the ICT, the pillar that is supposed to address this issue, and especially when it comes to data. And I think there is a process which is part of the conditions that is required before people access, the beneficiaries access. There is an ICT involvement in a way, and which it looks like it is so conditional that if it is not your people who have not gone there, then these people at local government cannot do anything. And I think it is taking back the gains and the confidence we are trying to build at that level. So I don't know where you need to liaise probably with the Minister of Local Government and the National Parish Development Model Secretariat to see how that requirement is revisited or re-engineered. I know it could have been introduced for control purposes, but we need to also be mindful of the free flow of what we want to achieve. Because the moment it gets to that level, what we are witnessing is that these 39 people of ours who are still in the subsistence economy, that some of those conditions, which are good for control purposes, even the forms they fill, there are also so many, they have raised this, but we have found out that they have become grounds for corruption by the very people there who are supposed to serve them. They will tell them, you see, ICT people have not come, we need to call them, they have to come here, so we need something small to invite them to come from Kampala and come. So this is an area you need to visit, because we don't want to see the PDM die simply because we are the ones who are creating a roadblock, yet we are there to create something that should benefit our people. So it's an area which we need to look through seriously. The other aspect is, of course, you have touched it, the cyber crime. I don't know how the capacity we have built in our agencies to fight this challenge, or whether all these innovations and interventions you are proposing are cyber secure, are foolproof, so that people, we don't go and then we have hackers, and the next day the country is paralyzed. Even individuals are paralyzed because somebody has hacked the system, and we are stuck. So because we are supporting the e-way, and we have others who could be thinking otherwise. There is also the aspect of innovations which is handled under your ministry, Honorable Minister and team. I think Ugandans would be interested to know who can qualify for this innovation support and how do they access, what is the criteria for them to be part and parcel of that innovations that you support at your area. The last one, this is not the last one, but Honorable Minister, I think this is something we have also discussed, the issue of the communication strategy of government. I think a lot has been done, but I think we have communicated less. And I think as the sector responsible for talking, we need to move a notch higher on how we can make our citizens all the time be updated. And I don't know why we people in government are shy from communicating our results. And when we allow this space to be occupied by other people, they will talk about things they want, which are totally different from what we've done, and they leave us in a reactive form. So let's talk all the time, let's be proactive. The other day, the Minister of Public Service was here, and I brought it to their attention that there is this situation where many of our senior people hide in this standing order, public service standing orders. I also tasked them to go and review that area of communication, because we are in an information age. If we don't talk to our people, how will they know what is? And it is also part of the governance-based practices. So I think it's an area we need to work together and make sure that all the time government is proactive and informing citizens. Last one, I think, which is not the least, which we are also picking, is the cost of the internet. As we talk about digitizing and moving this at every level, the question is the MBs. They are a bit costly. So, and there are a lot of innovations coming from, you see, you are providing a platform, and this is also interesting other players within the economy, in agriculture, in where to develop different apps that can help, because digital will not remain with the ICT arrangement. You are going to create an infrastructure framework, the platforms that give people to innovate. So the other players in the other sectors are also coming up with innovations like new apps on how they can help people to enjoy this. But the challenge there is the cost of the internet, Honorable Minister. So those are observations from the unit. I now want to take this pleasure to invite the observations from the you members of the media and public to the Honorable Minister, and then he responds once and for all. I know this is your sector, so you are fearing. The minister is not going to close you. You're not. I think they should be bringing observations now that how the sector can be promoted. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Director. Thank you, Honorable Minister. My name is George Bukenya. I work with Daily Star News. I will not promote you the next class. You are 1 mark below the promotional mark. Reason being that before you came to the ministry, we had free internet in Kampala around the Constitutional Square and Mapera, but no, it's not there. I was one of the beneficiaries of that free internet. What happened when you talk of digitizing and maybe spreading to different parts of the country? Here in Kampala, we are not accessing free internet. Why? Thank you.
Okay, next.
I will redeem my marks.
Maybe he was to tell us when it was free, how did you benefit? Okay, that's for him. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Director, and thank you, Honorable Minister. I'm called Nelson Kiva, I work with the New Vision. My question is on capitalization of UTL. And is it possible, we wanted to know how much is invested in this process here of capitalizing this company and the offsetting the liabilities and whatsoever? That's my only question.
Okay. Who else? Now, when you live here, you start going back to your stations and say the government is harassing you. Huh? On the World Press Freedom Day, you were saying different things, and the minister is here. Now, tell us. Huh? You are done? Okay.
They are always with me.
Okay, that's interesting. So if that, is there anybody this side?
They are some of the most available ministers in the media.
Oh, very good. Okay. There's a gentleman here, and then we conclude, I think, yes, this session of Q&A.
Thank you, Minister. I'm Sam Chijavu, private sector. Why is it that all training programs on ICT are for the youth only?
Okay. Yes, that is his concern. Maybe the last one on national guidance. I think the ICT area is eating up the guidance area. So we would want to see the guidance also coming out strongly to give the guidance, especially in the areas of civic education. And also, I have seen the national service here. Maybe we want to know how far we have gone in this direction of the establishment of the national service program. So those are the issues, Honorable Minister. I take the pleasure to invite you again to respond to these issues.
Thank you very much. I have many officers who are here, like Madam Caroline Mugisha, from Monitor U. I hope you captured those which require response. From Monitor U, like the hot spots, like the one who took down my maps, our maps. You are able to redeem. So we can start with you. UCC, I think there are some questions for UCC. Even the National Guidance Commissioner is here. And Dr. Togo here. Then from there, Honorable Kapianga may want to respond to some issues, then I conclude with what remains. So we start with the technical people. Start with
It is. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister.
Because the media people have their machines here, which I see.
Okay.
Madam Caroline is representing the ED.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, and thank you very much, our facilitator for this afternoon. Protocol observed for the panel that is up here. I would like to start with addressing the question on the Wi-Fi, the free Wi-Fi that was raised by Mr. Bukenya. Yes, we do recognize that this service is one that supported especially the students, if I might start with that category. because during the times that it's made available, they're able to sit and do some research. So I understand the concern that you probably, if you tried in these days, you may not have been able to access, but it's with very good reason. Because we understand the demand and how it is helpful to the population, we are revamping the services. We want for more of the public to be able to access, and therefore we will be launching this in due course so that you can access this. So thank you for raising that. I wanted also, Honorable Minister, to address two other issues that were raised.
So that one, the hotspots are still there.
Yes, they are there.
Saying the political leadership of the ministry has also given an instruction that all universities and hospitals should have those hotspots. Hotspots, yes. The universities and the hospitals, starting with Kampala, the greater Kampala, and then, but also those hotspots are even in the countryside. They are not only in the Kampala. It's not only in Mapera where there is a hotspot, the Wi-Fi area. There are also others. Maybe we shall publish the list of those spots where you can get free Wi-Fi in the country.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. And just to reassure further that we have upcoming projects that will further increase the spread of the Wi-Fi hotspots. Somebody asked a question on cybersecurity. It was actually our facilitator that raised the question on cybersecurity. And I wanted to inform him and the public that we do have, for the government, the National Information Security Framework. This framework has been shared and disseminated to all the MDS, that is the ministries, departments, and agencies, so that they have a governance framework for cybersecurity. Because we know that in the area where we are right now, more and more government entities are bringing services online, which is what we want to see. So that framework is in place. In addition to that, we also have the National SAT, the Computer Emergency Response Team. It is established to manage incidents, to provide timely incidents reporting in case of any escalations that are filed by the public, especially the government entities. Thank you. I think those were the questions that were addressed to Nita for now. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Oh yes, thank you for that as well. Yes, apologies, I think I had missed that. Yes, in terms of the connectivity, the Honorable Minister did present where we are at in terms of the districts that have been covered and in terms of the kilometers that have been covered. But I'm also happy to say that we do have projects that are upcoming where we are looking to expand this connectivity up to a total of 8,500 kilometers. And this would enable us to cover the vast majority of the districts of this nation. Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Minister. I'll leave the floor for now.
UCC.
Thank you.
To respond to issues, and if there is any other issue you want them here, you can say.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Ministers, and thank you, Director, for raising those issues and giving us an opportunity to be able to respond to some of the observations during this manifesto week discussion. So I will start off with the issue on charges and on dropped calls. There are a couple of ways in which the billing takes place. There is the per second billing, and also in cases where billing is based on the bundles. Now, sometimes where the network quality is poor, you will find that the network drops after and it has been initiated. So in these cases, that is where the charge happens as the call is going through. We have, as UCC, we have been working with the operators, especially to address this twin problem of quality of service in those dark spots. And where we have found such instances through our consumer affairs unit, the operators have been engaged and even penalties instituted against them. But it's a continuous process as we try to see how we can work with them to clean up both the quality of service and billing issues, such that the customers are not unfairly charged or affected by poor quality. I also thought I would add on to the issue of the SIM card registration that was raised. This one has been a continuous sticky matter. As we speak, UCC is engaging with the operators and sister government agencies to continuously do a cleanup of this issue. It's not that they are unregistered, it's just being able to clean up the quality of the registration and the information at the back end. So about, I think a month ago, there was a SIM card registration audit that was being conducted countrywide to be able to address some of these issues that we constantly pick up as we monitor. There is a joint task force actually that is constantly monitoring this. And Honorable Minister, if you'll allow me also to comment on the issue of cybersecurity capacity. UCC also has the communication sector SAT. This is a computer emergency response team. And a lot of effort has been done in building capacity of the operators. So you find almost twice or 3 times a year, we engage the technical staff to build their capacity for early detection, management of cybersecurity issues when they arise, and also working through with them and other sector agencies, or like the bankers, the regulator of the financial sector, to be able to build capacity of the operators in that area, such that the cybersecurity framework is secure. We're also doing training, capacity building for online safety, such that consumers can be able to transact their businesses online, but in a safety manner. So if you look through the UCC consumer advisories, you find there are aspects of cybersecurity that are embedded in there, such that we are more secure and we are more alert to the risks that are out there. Honorable Minister, I beg to submit. Thank you.
Let me ask Dr. Togo, who is an expert in ICT, talk about the innovation fund and why do we train only young people in ICT, all those questions.
Thank you very much.
Parish development model management information system.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Director, thank you very much. Honorable Minister of State, my colleagues, and also the press and the media fraternity. First of all, I want to give a little brief about the National ICT Innovation Hub. This is a hub which is premised on the fact that we want to have nationalism and to have a home for ICT innovation. So that's the first basis. We have several other hubs in the country which are private, but government through the Minister of ICT has put up this initiative to have hubs not only in Kampala but also spread across the country. In the presentation of the Honorable Minister, 3 other areas were talked about where there are hubs. And that will be in the what? I will not repeat what the minister said. So what services do we provide in this place? Firstly, it is located in Nakawa. That is where the Uganda Institute of ICT resides. So it is within the premises of Uganda Institute of ICT. And other hubs will also be in different other education institutions, including universities and other tertiary institutions. Majorly what we provide, the services that are therein, are shared physical spaces and services. These will help innovators through working office space, internet, to have hackathons, makeathons. Honorable Minister, forgive the technical jargon and members, but some of these we cannot convert them into. Okay. Hackathons and makeathons are competitions where we bring together different innovators to share ideas and compete and even get money out of those ideas they would have got. But amongst others, they'll get funders who will help them to move their products from ideas to the real market. So we also do community and networking events to link the innovators to other players in the industry and other areas who would want ICT to improve their service delivery, but also their livelihoodness. We also do product and solution roadshows and expos, so that it's a whole package that we give out to the innovators to be able to support them. But government does not only do that. Government also has, under the Ministry of ICT, what is called a National ICT Initiative Support Program. And calls are put out in the papers and widely and other social media platforms and other platforms to call for areas that innovators would want to work on, but also the priority areas for government, such as areas in agriculture, health sector, solutions that can be developed in those areas. And I think PDM, MIS was also part of the calls that were given. So we are looking at the local challenges that we have and calling innovators to focus on those challenges. The target groups, firstly, before I talk about the target group, let me first of all talk about who an innovator is. Because everyone will think that, they are innovators, but in simple terms, it's someone who has the capacity to turn new knowledge and skills into a product or a service. That means there is old knowledge there, but we normally want new knowledge that will be able to be turned into a successful product or service. So through the value chain of the innovator, we help them to shape up their ideas. We help them to move idea to the market through the entire value chain. So that's one of the areas. But Honorable Minister and members, we target majorly these areas. The people who have been given the National ICT Initiatives Government Innovation Fund support. So those ones are allowed to come and work in the hub freely because they are going to be supported. But government also has community innovation thematic areas, which I talked about: agriculture, health, energy, and also social enterprises. And these innovate around products that help improve the social and environmental challenges. So we agree to any applications in these areas, but you'll check our website. All this information is there on the website, which I will be asking the team to project the URL. So, Honorable Minister, you allowed me to also respond to the parish development model, the requirements. Members, we have a parish development management information system. This is a system which is supposed to help and automate the processes of the parish development model. Of course, there are requirements to register to use that system as a basic requirement. Like all of you who have noted on the Wi-Fi hotspots, you are required to register. And that's for purposes of knowing who we are dealing with, but also to be able to take note of the statistics of who is running on the system. Director, I think what we are going to do, and which I'm going to explicate a bit, is that, of course, with every new system there are challenges, but we are coming up with an operational model and also guidelines on how to, basing on the challenges that we have gotten from me, but also from the teams that have been on site, and this is going to help to improve the other areas. But we are also going to not put it only on paper, but also do sensitization to the different stakeholders. Of course, using several other platforms, but also the national guidance platform, which is a part of the Ministry of ICT, but also yourself, Director. We shall use you to and the press and media will also help us to, to ensure that this goes out to the public. I thank you very much, Honorable Minister.
Commissioner for National Guidance. Has your question been answered? You haven't answered this question. Why are we training the young people? Dr. Togobas, finish it.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's not necessarily true that we train only young people. The old people can come in. And you remember the definition of an innovator he gave. Someone who can turn new knowledge and skills into a service or product.
We will take your name. My team will not share his name and water so that we train him too. Then no better way.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Countrymen, you are all respected in whatever capacity you are here. First and foremost, you are Ugandan, so you are entitled. Now, national guidance. Once you talk of national guidance, the first thing you are talking about is the mind of the people. And the minimum requirement you have is that we are all Ugandans. And in addition to that, we are not all the same. There are those differences. But while those differences exist, what you are struggling for and what I'm struggling for, they are the same things. First of all, you must be alive. And in order for you to be alive, you must interact with nature. And the way you interact with nature, you get what keeps you going. So while there are those differences and you come from where, let me give you a historical scenario. You know those days, especially the women, they would travel on buses and go to the north. Now, while they are there, they would collect chicken. And that chicken would be put on the bus and it would be offloaded in Nakivu. Nakivu is here in Kampala. And you will get all these other people going because they have come cheap and they are here. They will tell you they are going to buy
let me first use that one. I will explain later on. They are going to buy enkoko enganda, the chicken that is Buganda. And yet the thing was, it crossed the river Nile, it crossed I don't know what. The people who collected it are the ones who came from here. And simply because what they were going to do, they were compelled to become friendly. And why was there that difference? Because the people in that side knew if we are going to have our chicken, we must know who the enemy of the chicken is. And that enemy of the chicken were those birds. So they first dealt with the birds. And therefore reduced on the enemy of the chicken. And those chickens began growing freely on the trees. They didn't require a house. Just on the tree, and you find they are very many. Now, because you haven't put in much, even when you are selling, you think the thing is cheap. Now, when you are dealing with somebody's mind, the mindset, those ideas, you need to take into account of that. Why the difference may be there, at the end of the day, your being alive and my being alive have similar channels. So the difference disappears. You are compelled by nature, of necessity, compelled to live together. And you are compelled further by the economic factors, because what you have and what you are professional in, I can't produce it. That's why it is very strategic that when you look at this Munyankole and so on, you have to approach with care, because he has the cows and you need the cows. He has the milk. When you go to Sese Islands, it's not easy to go through that water to reach that place. But finally there will be fish. And you need that fish. So that man stops being a Muganda. He's a source of fish. Which fish you want. Therefore the hostility, the antagonism which was there, once your mindset is clear, it disappears. Then you are brought together by factors which involve development and transformation. So why we are interested in the mindset of the people is because at the end of the day, nature will compel you to cooperate because you have to survive. That's why we insist. And when you are dealing with national guidance, the first thing you look at is the constitution of this republic. And what does the constitution tell you? It tells you about the boundaries of the whole of Uganda, not the boundaries of Bunyoro. Bunyoro is even not mentioned. Buganda is not mentioned. They talk about those other boundaries. And once you are all in there, there you are. And then on top of that one, you are given natural resources, which are not elsewhere. I've heard people complain about rain. But you cross the borders, and you will hear what people are saying. People say, rain, too much. Sun, too much. But those don't have it. But within your boundary, you have it. That makes a difference. That brings you together. It is those ideas you are thinking about how to survive, which compel you to love your neighbor. And your constitution will tell you, love your neighbor. It is not out of the blue. It's because they have studied the situation around you and they have known what you want, which you have not yet come to recognize that that's what you want, to be together. So when you talk about national guidance, that's what it is. We use it to move very fast. You know what started us off, especially in those other years? These students in Makerere would almost every other day go on strike. Then you said, but students in Makerere on strike, you know, those in administration would have problems, but they fearing facing violence, so they would incite the students. You'd see the students on the street. So we said, okay, if that is your problem, every other time you finish senior 6 and put your pen down, you report to Kyangwanza and we discuss a few things. And in the process, when you look at that list, there are very many who are even around. I think they ended up there by accident. I don't want to mention names here because you might go reminding them. Whereas with them, they have quietly been like that, knowing what they benefited from, including your own mayor of this city. He has a certificate, I have it on record. But when he's talking outside there, he doesn't want to show it. And there are other MPs, many number of them, who went through that process. When they came back, went to the university, those tertiary institutions, they remembered what we taught them. And the strikes almost disappeared. Now, don't ask me why I have not continued. One, there was the season of COVID, which could not allow, SOPs could not allow us to mix freely along those lines. Two, there is also the financial expense. Because your job would be to get on the bus in Kololo with a kavera and with a panga. Because the trees are already there. You cut poles, you make mama ingia pole, you put a kavera, and you are there for 3 months. You'd also have to carry another kavera where you put your books in case it rains, because we used to study under a tree. Here I can see you're really very sophisticated. But that was the situation. But it humbled all of them, showed them that these differences you are talking about are our common thing is the course must end. And we have not given up, but we are looking at the situation. When it improves, you will hear we have resumed. Because already we have the national service, which we must conduct. Now, the advantage is when it comes to the national service, you will not have to take everybody to Kiankwan's because it is far. When you are in Lira, there are these training centers nearby. Every holiday you can tell them, we are using it for the holiday. Since your students are busy, they have gone, you give us accommodation. And you do it in the Buked. You do it, like that. We can change and move on to that one. I would like to thank you very much, Honorable Minister. You see, once you give me that opportunity, and there is no bell to stop me, because mine is just starting. Katandi Kabutandis, this is Baganda will tell you. But thank you very much for being around, and we continue. Together, this Uganda will be lovely.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kambarage Kakonge. Let me invite the Honorable Minister to respond to few other issues and make a comment, then I will wind up.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I think the director was saying we don't talk. We are not communicating. And yet government is doing a lot. Director, I would like to assure you that we are communicating. But now the media, due to technology, has transformed into something totally different. Because in the past there was one TV, one radio, and therefore whenever there was an issue, people would be glued to UBC. And they would also wait for UBC radio to communicate. But now when we are here, Mr. Director, you may think we are transmitting live on UBC, but other guys are now transmitting live on social media. And they are giving information, sometimes even distorting what we have just presented. And therefore, as government, we are also coming up with another strategy now. Because the media now is diverse with the technology, things are changing nearly every day. We are now coming up with a new communication strategy so that we keep up with the speed. That's why we told you now we have the Government Citizens Interaction Center. While these ones are tweeting, we are also tweeting in our war room. We now have the digital media unit at the ministry. Right now, in that war room, they are also what? Tweeting. And they are monitoring what is coming from here, whether it is distorted or not. But communication now is very, very complicated. But you should also know we have a government communicator in every ministry, but those standing orders are the biggest problem. And we have already talked to Ministry of Public Service. We need to relax on the standing orders, because with the new trend in communication, if a government communicator has to first write a press release and then it is approved by PS, you are in trouble. Someone has already got the news. The minister told you how Honorable Semuju twisted the budget into a personal attack to the person of the president. And that was not the first time. He has actually even attacked the family of the president over simple things. But now, for someone to respond now, you don't need a PS to first approve. Those are the challenges which we normally get. But you will get those distortions if we don't change the way we are doing things. But we are communicating a lot, but there are so many communicators now in the space. Very many, everybody is a journalist now. I don't think even Media Council can regulate journalists right now, because there are so many. Everybody on their phones, they are now working as what? As media practitioners. So we shall have to change a bit, and that's why we are coming up with a new communication strategy. It is in the offing. And under national guidance, first of all, what my Commissioner Kakonge has been communicating, people should be cautious. It's about cautiousness of what is taking place in their country, and then community participation. That's what national guidance is all about. People should love their country, and people should know that they have a responsibility as citizens. Even the Constitution is very clear. Everybody should work, should contribute something to national building. Actually, laziness in the Constitution, I think, is a crime, because people should work and contribute to socio-economic transformation at every level. But now you meet people are just lounging around on trading centers, seated, talking about Arsenal, talking about Man City. I mean, you are there just talking about Man City has won, and then you say, we won. You who? You won, you who? The person who is playing, who is on the field playing, the one you are cheering, after the game is going to earn $55,000. For you, what have you earned? And then you are there. We won, you who? And you continue talking about that the whole day, the whole week. You even dodge office to go and see how the trophy is being given, as if it is your trophy, as if you're going to gain anything. Lack of consciousness. And that's what we want to come up with. We are designing, we are coming up, we are processing a national guidance policy which will bring out all these national values. For instance, what are our national values? So that people can know a Ugandan to be called a real Ugandan, a true Ugandan. This is how we should behave. National service, we are bringing it up to close some gap. In the past, for us when we went to school, PLOE, we would feel to apply for schools. And we would apply to all schools. Me, I applied to Satito Wingi Bulindi. I didn't know where it was. I'm a Kasese man. But I liked the name. And I filled the form after P7. And they called me. But my parents couldn't afford sending me to Satito Wingi Bulindi. But you meet people from Kabale, they were in St. Louis. I was in St. Louis with so many Bachiga. There are some people from Kasese who went to Chigezi High School, I think. There are some who went to Laibi from Kabale. Some went to Mwiri. Those of Mwiri, Busoga, they went to Nyakasura, they went to Ntare. It really exposed them to the world. And that's why you meet, people have friends. You just meet, Ebunyankore has a friend who is an Acholi, because they studied together. And that friendship is still very solid. Even in our NRM, you see President Museveni with our Paka Bureau, with all these people, Stephen Akabai. They studied together. But who have you studied with? You're in Kasese, you complete primary school, Kasese primary, you go to Kasese secondary, you complete HSC, you go to Gema University in Kasese. So who do you know? And you just think the whole world ends with Kasese. You can complete university before you even cross Ruimi or Kazinga Channel. You are just there. Then when you complete, you are employed by Kasese district local government. You only come to Kasese for the first time if there is a workshop in Kampala. It's very funny. That's what the world has been reduced to. So we think now if we resume national service, we can now, after say senior 6, we ask children to put in 6 months of national service. Those children from Kasese, we take them to Karamoja to go and teach, to go and work in hospitals as clerks, so that they really understand what Uganda is all about, so that they can appreciate Uganda. Otherwise, if they continue just reading from social media, they will be misinformed. Some people now don't know that Karamoja has a tarmac road, but someone will just import a road from Congo and he says this is in Karamoja. But now you can move from Kasese to Karamoja on tarmac. People don't know. So national service will expose people to such things. It will also probably reduce on these sectarian tendencies of tribes. We are now in a country called Uganda. We are a republic, different nations brought together to form a big country called Uganda, and therefore we should be able to appreciate one another. That's what now we are aiming at. And that one will be national ideology. We want to get out of ideological disorientation that has started cropping up. That one will be national ideology. But obviously NRM has also its what? Ideology. But for us as Ministry of National Guidance, we are about national ideology. But then when I go back now to NRM, I can also now teach you NRM ideology. DP will also have their own ideology of truth and justice. FDC, one Uganda, one what? Those are their own what? Ideologies. But we should have a national ideology which has a national outlook for all Ugandans to love Uganda irrespective of political parties. But as per now, the NRM is in power, so the NRM ideology is aligned to the national ideology till other people come in, if they ever come. I thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Minister, and the technical team that has responded to majority of the issues which were raised from the director and also the audience. I think the director, you raised a number of comments which are very positive for us, and we have taken note of them. Some of them didn't require response, but for us to take note and see that we address them as we implement the manifesto. But we agree with you, for instance, on the assertion that if we can digitize most of the processes, then that will help us in the fight against corruption. And we can see this in the Ministry of Lands. The government has created a land information system, and the process of land transactions has been automated. Now there is little necessity to interact with the people. Your file can start and just moves electronically, and that enables people not to ask for bribes or for you to bribe anybody to get your land title. So as we automate and digitize services, then that will go a long way in assisting us to fight corruption. Like the Honourable Minister has said on communication, we are trying our level best to do communicate, and we shall continue to train our communicators, both in the central government agencies and also in the local governments, including our RDCs. We are even arranging a training for ministers so that we equip them with skills on how to communicate. If they are invited for talk shows, if they are invited for interviews by you, the media people, we equip them with the basic communication skills so that we can sharpen the skills of government people to communicate. But to some extent, it is true, there are many people in the government who have a lot of information about what goes on in the government, but they are shy in sharing that information with the public. But we shall address all those gaps so that the public is informed and given as enough information as possible regarding what government is doing. In any case, we do it on behalf of the people of Uganda. The cost of internet, yes, like I said in the presentation, we continue to address all the bottlenecks so that the cost can continue getting down. Like I said, Uganda is a landlocked country, so we get internet from the fiber which comes across the ocean, then through Kenya to reach here, which we then extend the countryside and distribute it through last mile. One of the reasons why the cost is still high is that we have not been able to reach all corners of the country. We believe if we extend the fiber and we do last mile connections and we get many more Ugandans hooked on the internet, that in itself will bring the cost lower. The more people you get hooked, the less the cost. Of course, plus the other measures, like looking at the taxation and many other interventions. Also, supplementing the fiber with other technologies like satellite technology and the others. Like I said in the presentation, our target is to reach a cost currently at $70 per megabyte per second to 20, but maybe we could even bring it lower by the end of the manifesto period. But as we call upon Ugandans to embrace technology, internet must be made affordable so that all of us can transact digitally. UTL, you know, was being co-owned by Uganda and Libya. But in Libya, we all know the dynamics and what has happened in Libya. So we had to divorce, to terminate that marriage. And then that was part of the reason why we had to transit from UTL, which was in administration for a number of years, and now we formed a new company, like I said, UTCL, and then paid off the debts, which were mounting to over 300 billion. Of course, some of the debts which were to government agencies, we waived off, and now came up with a clean company. There are many investors that have expressed interest to get shares, to partner with the government, and we are still assessing them. So at this point, I can't say we are capitalizing with this much amount of money, because we are looking at a potential investor partnering with the government so that we can bring up the company. So that process is still on. National guidance is a very key component of our work. We are finalizing a national guidance policy. Maybe to answer the question why maybe ICT seems to be swallowing national guidance, is that we've not yet put sufficient resources in the area of national guidance. But we are now, as a ministry, finalizing the drafting of the policy, which we shall unveil to the public once Cabinet has approved it, and then we shall cost it. And many of these interventions, like what the Commissioner was saying, where we used to take our young people to Changkwanz for orientation, we think this is a good intervention which we needed to introduce. The national service that the minister is talking about, there are a number of interventions which we are proposing, which are going to put a lot of energy into the national guidance subsector so that we can be properly oriented in terms of ideology as Ugandans. So I want to finally thank all of you for the time you have given us this afternoon for us to share with you the progress we have made as a sector that handles three broad areas of information and communication, of ICT, and national guidance. We do believe that in the last 2 years, we have made some progress, but we remind ourselves that we started the term at the height of COVID-19 with lots of challenges, but we've been able to soldier on. Now that COVID-19 is down, we don't have these major restrictions under lockdown, which were a big challenge as we began the term. We should be able to register much more progress in the remaining 3 years before we can complete the term. We are also working on a communication strategy and policy, as the minister said, to sharpen areas of communication, and we shall be unveiling all these documents and instruments to the public once they have been completed. I want to thank you, Director, and your team, the Manifesto Implementation Unit. In our assessment, you are doing a very good job, and I ask the audience to give you a round of applause, because as NRM, we went to the public in 2021. You remember we are having scientific elections, campaigns where we are having few leaders engaging with the president as our candidate, and even us who stood for parliamentary seats. And the majority of Ugandans would get the message through radio and television, and we sold our manifesto. So Ugandans voted us on the basis of what we pledged to undertake in the 5 years once we are given the mandate. And we appreciate that Ugandans gave us the mandate to form government for 5 years. So I want to appreciate you that your unit is keeping an eye on us who are in the government to see that we translate this manifesto, which is a social contract with the people of Uganda. We translate all these pledges and commitments into action, into interventions, which go a long way in improving the quality of life of Ugandans. So I want to thank you for your active role and your resilience and stamina in making sure that the entire government is focused on translating the manifesto into services and into programs which benefit Ugandans who voted us into power. So as a ministry, we pledge our commitment to ensuring that next year when we come back here, we shall even post a better percentage, and the other year, and by the end of the 5 years, we should be able to have registered success to the satisfaction of Ugandans. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best. Please join me to give another big applause to the Minister. Honorable Minister, thank you, thank you. I want to, in the same spirit, receive the compliments on behalf of my PS and the Minister responsible for the presidency and the whole team that I work with. It's not a personal effort, it's not a single effort, it's a combined effort, and we receive the compliments in good faith, and we will work to make sure we live up to the expectations of our mandate. So I want to join the Minister to thank all of you who have been here with us this afternoon, and I also want to declare this session officially closed. Honorable Minister, we have a tradition after every presentation and close of a session, we beg for a photo opportunity with the team for record purposes. Otherwise, we thank you. Tomorrow, once again, we'll be here by 8:30 as we continue with the other presentations. Have a blessed evening.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.